that we have a choice to make. That one choice is AI to be used for efficiency and the rational, and the other one is to actually increase the quality of life and the quality of our environments. Yeah, for me, culture and climate and density, they all don't have to conflict with each other because it's also evolving, right? When you look at New York, it wasn't very dense 200 years ago, and then it got denser and it changes. And you also see other places which used to be dense and they become less dense. But what is important to do is, in any case, to understand a place, to understand people, to understand also the dynamic of a place. And all of that kind of research nowadays can be done much differently and also much more in control of the architects through AI. And then what we can do is infusing new cultural elements into our design, either way in the organization of a building, or also into the aesthetic and the experience of a building. And we have done actually a really fun exercise. We call it Neo York, where we use the DNA of New York from 100 years to design new buildings. And they're stunning. And you show it to people, and they're instantly like, that's New York. And that's one of the successes here. Yeah, longer living populations is actually very dear to my heart. I did a lot of research on aging and also how architecture has failed to actually serve a aging society well. So it's not one solution. I think there are many, many different things that we need to change. One of the biggest one is that we have to look into the social attributes of our cities, because we know that if we are in a social network, we're happier, we're healthier, and we also have the informal support system around us before we need maybe more professionalized support systems. So walkable cities is key, making that attractive and accessible for people, but also making it affordable, right? When we're getting older, sometimes our funds become more limited, and we have to make sure that we create as much as possible places that include everyone. Yeah, the city of the future, I think there is not one answer because I believe every city should find its own answer. Some cities want to become maybe more or less non-digital, right? And more kind of slow and more meditative, maybe. And other cities like New York want to become even more intense and activated and technically advanced. So the answers are very different. However, what I believe we now have as an opportunity through AI is that we create novelties within the cities and the architecture. There used to be the trend where you said, oh, here is like a cool tower, and the tower can be in New York, can be in Beijing, can be in Shanghai, can be in Berlin. And that was all geared towards an aesthetic from an architect. What I believe is more important is actually the aesthetic of a city, the identity of a city, and architecture has to come second. So now with AI, especially, we're able to use actually the DNA of a place and use that kind of research into the design process so that New York looks even more than New York from before. And we can look into Berlin, and Berlin should have its own identity. Because otherwise, why would we travel? Why would we actually enjoy a different culture? I think the intensification of a novelty is something that is really beautiful and has a lot of potential for the future. What I hope the audience takes away is, and that is something where we are now part of the process. It's not just happening to us. We are actually the directors and the conductors in the process, but that also means that we have to get very involved in it. We have to engage with the tech companies. We have to maybe come up with our own AI applications to make sure that it goes into the right direction. So for me, this is a call for action. Embrace it, explore with it, and direct it into the right direction.